Hello friends, welcome to Shiksharthi. In this video, we shall be discussing the logic behind the usage of these phrases. So let's start. Now when we say that, or when I say that, we are going to talk about the usage of, so now when I'm talking about these words, we talk about the logic behind the usage of these, that means we'll be giving it a mathematical bent as well. So we are going to talk about these words with the help of, so these are words of English language, and we'll be discussing the logic. Now logic always requires some element of mathematics in it. So we will take a small discussion on this. So for example, we'll be talking about all these phrases. Why do I call them as phrases? Because it doesn't have a verb in it. So if I use a word like at least, or I say at most, or greatest, least, not more than, not less than, all of these are phrases only for me. And what is the logic behind calling all of them as phrases? The logic is because they do not have a verb in it. That is the logic. Okay. Now, so let us say I am talking about let's say three friends, and those three friends are A, B, C. There is no need to give their full names. All we need to understand is we are talking about three friends A, B, C. And if I say at least one of them, so if I say at least one of them, what does it indicate? So I repeat, we are basically talking about three friends, and if I say at least one of them, let's say there is a birthday party which has been arranged by the fourth person, let's say D, in which at least one of them turns up. Okay, so now when I say at least one of them, what do I need to understand? We are basically talking about three people only. So the point that I'm trying to make here is there is a terminology like cardinal number. Now what do we mean by a cardinal number? Card itself refers to a count. So what is the cardinal number that has to be understood denotes the logic behind at least one of them. So when I say at least one of them, I am basically talking about cardinal number 1, I am talking about cardinal number 2, and I am talking about cardinal number 3. So when I say cardinal number 1, so in that case I am basically talking about A, B, C alone. When I am talking about cardinal number 2, I am basically talking about combinations A along with B, A along with C, B along with C. And when I am talking about cardinal number 3, I am basically referring to what? All of them. So this is just like saying A only, B only, C only, AB only, A and C only, B and C only, all of them only. This is how I need to understand with the help of cardinal numbers. So here we are basically referring to cardinal number 1, here we are referring to cardinal number 2, and here we are referring to cardinal number 3. This is the logic behind it. So what is if I say at least one of them? And if I say the total number of things or people which are being discussed are n, and I want to extrapolate this logic, in that case I need to talk about all the cardinal numbers starting from 1, 2, 3 and ending on n, keeping in mind that all these cardinal number representations will be mutually exclusive to each other. I mean, they have nothing in common except for the invitation which they have got, let's say here in this case for a birthday party. Okay, now when I say at most three of them, let's say at most three of them. So the word at most, the basic difference between at least is it represents the positive side of it. I mean, at least one fellow turned up. So we are talking about, in a certain way, the word at least represents optimism. The word at most represents null and optimistic sets both. So when we are saying that this person is let's say he is a non-pessimist, it does not necessarily mean that it is an optimist only. A non-pessimist could be what? This person is 0. So it is just like saying, if I say not greater or not lesser, not greater does not mean lesser than only. Right? We have already had a video on this, so maybe you can watch the video in case if you want to get enlightened about the usages of the things that we have already talked about. Okay, now when I talk about at most 3 of them, and as discussed, it represents what? The fullness also. It talks about something in numbers, it doesn't talk about a particular count also. So here we are referring to cardinal number 0, cardinal number 1, cardinal number 2 and cardinal number 3. So we'll talk about all these cases. How many cases have we talked about? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here the total count of cases is 7. 7 cases in total is what we have talked about. Here we will talk about all these 7 cases and plus one more case, which is the null set. Please try and understand, this is just like talking about a Venn diagram of 3 elements wherein we are talking about all the mutually exclusive cases. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. These are all the 8 cases that we are talking about, at most 3 of them. And this is just like talking about a Venn diagram wherein we are talking about all the cases except for none of them. So we are talking about this case, this case, this case. Let's say this is ABC. So let's say case 4, case 5, case 6, case 7. But we are not talking about this case which talks about none of them, which is cardinal number is equal to 0. So can I put it like this? This is just like saying none plus at least one of them. Another way to understand here is, here we are talking about mu. Mu means we are talking about the entire universe, the entire discussion. We are talking about the universe of discussion, which includes, if you recollect my video on Venn diagrams wherein we have talked about the universe talks about those things you are talking about, and even it talks about those things which you are not talking about, and maybe others are talking about the same. Okay, so now when I say at least one of them, the best way to understand this in terms of mu is mu minus none. So mu is the total set that can be formed, universe of discussion minus none of them. Now when you talk about, so now this was one aspect of it. Now when we talk about words like greatest or least, greatest denotes what? Greatest denotes the maximum value, and least denotes what? The minimum value. And these are absolute terms. These are absolute terms. They do not have any order of degree. They do not have shades of understanding. They do not have different echelons. They're absolute. They are superlative. Okay. Now when I talk about not more than, so this comes as a discussion which is slightly different from the earlier discussion that we have had. So if I say not more than one fellow turned up, not more than one. Now when you are saying not more than one, you are basically talking about cardinal number 2 and you are talking about cardinal number 3. That means either 2 people turned up or 3 people turned up. So another way of putting this is at least 2 people turned up, not more than one friend turned up. Is this correct to say? Not more than one turned up. This is not correct, because not more than one means what? You are talking about not more than one turned up. So either none of them turned up or exactly one of them turned up. It says not more than one, let's say, turned up for the party. So here you are basically talking about n is equal to 0 and n is equal to 1, which in other terms you can say what? This is at most 1. And then you can have the discussion for mu as well. So when you are having a discussion for mu, you will say what? You will subtract cardinal number 2 and cardinal number 3 when you talk about at most 1. Now when you say not less than 1 turned up for the party, not less than 1. Now, when you say not less than 1, what do you understand by this? So, the number of people, those who had turned up, were not less than 1. So, not less than 1 means what? Either they were equal to 1, or they were equal to 2, or they were equal to 3. So, which is just like talking about what? At least 1. So now you can have various combinations. You can talk about not more than 2 turned up, not more than 3 turned up, not less than 5 turned up, whatsoever. So you can take it once you understand the basics behind this, once you understand the logic is what we have talked about in this video, it becomes easier for you to understand such kind of phrases, and then take it to a next level is wherein you start giving your own inputs to the basics that we would have talked about. If you feel that this video is really informative and it is really awe-inspiring for you, or it is awesome for you, I mean either ways, please do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. If you have already done so, click on the bell icon and select all so that you get regular updates from us. If you want us to do videos on some specific topics or difficult topics, don't hesitate, put it in the comment section. Thank you so much. Until next we meet, goodbye.